So, you decided to start buying your first stock or ETF on Interactive Brokers, but found it a little bit too complicated, overwhelming? Don't worry, I got you. In this deep dive tutorial, I'm really going to walk you through the entire Interactive Brokers platform, which can indeed be a little bit overwhelming in the beginning, but once you go through the entire video, you will feel very confident using the platform. And I'll also show you little tips and tricks along the way. Even if you've been using Interactive Brokers before, you might pick up a couple of new insights along the way. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty of how to use Interactive Brokers platform, I've been a user of Interactive Brokers for a number of years, and honestly, I've been loving the experience ever since. And I've actually done a number of videos around Interactive Brokers on my channel before, and I'll link to the playlist down below. So I could make a whole video of why I love the platform, but the fact that you're here watching this video probably tells me that you already did your research and decided to go with Interactive Brokers, which is a really good choice. And for me personally, it's really two main things that stand out and differentiate it from so many other brokers. The number one, first and foremost, is the security and safety that I feel I get when I invest with Interactive Brokers, as they are a stock listed company in the US. That already gives me a peace of mind because they're subject to so many audits, scrutiny, has one of the longest history of operations across most brokers. Also in terms of size, arguably one of the biggest ones in the world. So they really know what they're doing. And if I could only choose one broker to keep my money safe and sound, honestly, it would probably have to be Interactive Brokers. Now, granted, I still use other brokers because I like to diversify. And also as part of my channel, I test different brokers for you guys and share my experience. But yeah, if I could only have one, then it would probably have to be Interactive Brokers because yeah, I just know I feel super safe as I keep my money in a bank account. I'll be just equally as peaceful having my shares and ETFs on Interactive Brokers. Now, the second big point, which a lot of people sadly overlook, and that's the ability of transferring your shares to another broker. Now, it's honestly super simple to do that with Interactive Brokers, but in a way even more reassuring for me rather than having to transfer it to another broker, which honestly I don't see myself doing because they're already doing such a great job. Why would I want to transfer my shares from Interactive Brokers to another broker? Usually it's the other way around, from other brokers into Interactive Brokers, which you can also do. The second point is that you can transfer your shares internally, and that's super powerful. Recently, I moved from Europe. I was living in Lithuania to the UAE, and I just wrote them an email, said, listen, I'm changing my account. Can you help me? They said, absolutely no problem. 2 days later, it was changed without me having to sell my shares and pay tax on it and rebuy it in the UAE. It was all done very seamlessly. And the beauty is they're operating on a global scale. They're literally available in pretty much most countries around the world, which many brokers aren't, right? And some other brokers that I also used in the past, I asked them to transfer and they said, well, sorry, we're not operating in the UAE, so you can't do that. You have to sell your shares. And that was so painful, right? So these are just two main things why I really love Interactive Brokers, on top of many other reasons, but maybe we'll leave that for another video. So without further ado, let's jump right in. I'll walk you through the platform. Now, obviously, the first thing before you want to get started is to set up your account. I'll leave a link down in the description below, which you'll find as well in the comments. And yes, this link is an affiliate link, but there is no additional cost to you. And in the process, you'll support the channel, which I do appreciate very much. Right, so once you're on the page, basically you want to go to open account over here and then click on start application. And then you get to this page over here. And yes, honestly, it's the usual KYC process where you sign up to any bank, any broker. It's pretty straightforward. It took me at most 15 minutes, I believe, when I did it a couple of years ago, but pretty straightforward. You set your email address, username. Obviously, make sure that you set on individuals, not institutions, because most likely when you're watching this, you are an individual investor. So make sure it's there, you're in the right country, and then just go ahead, create your account. Obviously, you have to upload some of the documents that are required, like your passport and what have you. And usually it will be approved within a couple of hours. Worst case, the next day if it's on the weekend or something, but usually very fast and very straightforward. And once you're approved, you'll be notified, and from there you can log in to the Interactive Brokers platform. Right, with this, once you are approved, you're obviously going to log into the Interactive Brokers portal. And obviously they have a number of different platforms, which can be a little bit overwhelming. On their website, you find it over here on trading and platforms. So you can find all the various platforms that they're offering. Now in this video, I really want to talk about the client portal, which is basically the web version, right? Most people use that in the beginning. And I think to get started and familiarize yourself, this is probably the one that you really want to be understanding. From there, you can use different apps. For example, they have 3 apps in total. I know it can be a little bit overwhelming. The Impact app, they have the IBKR app, and the Global Trader app. So especially if you're a beginner, I would really recommend you to use the IBKR Global Trader app. It just simplifies things quite a bit and makes the whole experience a little bit easier than actually even the client portal. But to set it up first, use the web portal later on a day-to-day if you want to use it, even though I don't recommend looking into portfolios on a daily basis. But if you wanted to, I think the Global Trader app could be your best friend. The IBKR app is also great, but yeah, a little bit more detailed. If you're into this, great. Otherwise, stick with the Global Trader app. the beauty of it, you can try all of them. They're all free of charge, and you can all use the same logins that you have for your Interactive Brokers account. You can use that for anything. Also the desktop version if you want to do that, and even the Trader Workstation TWS. So a lot of options to choose from. Personally, I mostly use the client portal and, as I said, the global trader app. Right, so here we are inside my Interactive Brokers web portal. And by the way, some of them refer to Interactive Brokers by the full name. Others may call it IBKR, and those terms are just used interchangeably. Both of them refer basically to the same thing. It's just the abbreviation of Interactive Brokers. In fact, it's actually the ticker symbol. If you wanted to buy IBKR stock, Interactive Broker stock, that's the ticker symbol, if I put it over here, of the company, right? So I could buy Interactive Brokers stock if I wanted to. So as I said, that's the main portal that you'll be seeing online. Now, obviously, you can right away change it to light mode if you wanted to. Maybe it's a bit easier on the eye. I usually keep it myself in dark mode, but maybe it's a little bit easier on the eye if I keep it in light mode for the sake of visibility. Right, so from here, basically front and center, you're going to see your dashboard, your portfolio, right? I have right now everything set up in dollars. And I'll show you how easy it is to change the currency. Obviously, if you invest from Europe, you want to have it shown to you most likely in euros or whichever country you are in. And don't worry, we're going to go through every single thing so you know exactly where everything is located. One thing to also show quickly, you can change to performance. So you see here the return over time, which is also interesting to see. And you can also compare it to other benchmarks, right? For example, compare it to the S&P 500 or to the NASDAQ 100. So you can see how your portfolio does relative to that. So I really like that. At a glance, you can easily see, how you're performing versus the market, right? Because ultimately that's what matters, right? Don't compare yourself to any other people online, but compare yourself to the real numbers of the market, whichever you define to be the market. For example, you can compare yourself to the S&P 500, which is the golden benchmark, I suppose. So you can compare yourself to that as well. So really, really interesting. And yeah, I definitely go in once in a while here just to see that my performance is mimicking or ideally outperforming, but at least to be in line with the market performance. Then you have a couple of other widgets. So these small boxes, they basically call widgets, and I'll show you in a second how you can change them if you wanted, but they really give you a good overview of what's happening. Your top portfolio positions, as you can see already, I only have one, and that's on purpose, but obviously you can buy whatever you want. If you have 20 holdings, those will be shown over here. And of course, guys, none of what I'm showing you today is investment advice. I'm just sharing with you how I use the platform and how you can use it for yourself to make your own investments. But of course, as always, investing is at your own risk. You see some of the transactions over here. And yeah, so basically really good overview. And if you wanted to change anything, you can just come over here, add edit widgets, click on that. And from here, you can basically remove any that you want. My company events, for example, remove it. If you wanted to have it back in your overview, you just click the plus and it will be over here. So pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. The same on the right. Here you have the account overview, right? Of how much money you have, how much is the market value, the unrealized P&L. So that's basically the gain I had in profits from my investments, right? Which is, nice to see. That's purely by investing. You will also see the dividends over here. So really good overview of the most important numbers you need to be aware. You can also have some shortcuts over here if you wanted. Just click on the plus item over here. For example, if you want to deposit regularly or withdraw, you might want to just add that to the shortcuts, withdraw as well. So with this, you can very quickly press on the button and it will take you straight there. So it just makes things a little bit easier and faster. All right, next, I just want to walk you through all the various tabs you can see over here. And honestly, recently they redesigned the overall interface, and I must say it's really gotten better over the years. When I first started, it was way more clunky and overwhelming. So really kudos to Interactive Brokers. They're listening to the users and it's getting much better over the years. Maybe still not as sleek as some of the other modern brokers, right? But honestly, they're really improving a lot. So if you want to click on positions, it will basically bring up all the various holdings that you have over here. And as I said, I only have one holding, which is the S&P 500 ETF that I'm buying in London. Is the UCITS version and from State Street. So yeah, for me, it works really well and I'm happy with this. But obviously, if you had more stocks, you would be seeing those over here. And you can also very quickly, once again, customize. So it's really customizable, which sometimes makes Interactive Brokers maybe a bit overwhelming, but you can really make it your own version. So you can click on the three dots over here and, for example, edit the columns. You can just add what you want to be seeing on this sort of overview, right? So if you have a lot of stocks, then you might want to see some dividend stats and some other things. So you can easily do that. Just click on the plus button, it will be added and you will be seeing that over there. Also, in terms of how much space you want to have between the two. And of course, if you wanted to convert your dollars, for example, just go over here to the three dots once again, click on convert, it will bring up the conversion, and then you select any currency you want to convert to. You see here the number of currencies that they currently offer. Just select it. Obviously, select how much you want to convert, for example, $100 to AED. Click on preview, And then here it will bring up how much it will be costing you. And then here you see how much this will be costing you, how much you'll be getting, plus a $2 conversion fee. So if you convert very little, then obviously $2 might be expensive. But if the amounts get larger, then despite the $2 commission, the actual conversion rate that you're actually getting is really competitive. Some of the best I've seen. So eventually, after a certain amount, the $2 might be negligible because you're going to actually get a better exchange rate. So that's something to keep in mind. Right, with this, you can also come over here to Performance tab. So you see kind of a quick overview of how your portfolio, what it's composed of, etc. Once again, you compare it to different index. You can change the time period and portfolio allocation. So good to see that as well. Balances, honestly, for most of you, probably don't bother with it. That more matters once you have margin trading, CFD trading, what have you. But for most people, what I showed you in the beginning, that overview over here will probably suffice for most people. Then you have portfolio news, and basically these are all the news pertaining to your portfolio, right? Whatever you have in your portfolio, you get news only to that, which is nice, right? You don't want to be flooded with news. They're not really relevant to you. And since I only have one ETF in my portfolio, you see all the news pertaining to that. But if you had more stocks, you would find more news related to that as well. And lastly, impact lens. If you happen to be an ESG conscious investor, then that's something where you can set up your values, right? What you want to invest in. There's kind of a questionnaire where you ask you what is important for you, ocean life, fair labor, and all these things you can go through. And then basically based on that, it will give you a score and an importance. So if you buy a company that kind of violates these things or goes against that, then it would be brought up to your attention that investing into this company kind of goes against your value. So, again, if that's important for you, then Interactive Brokers makes it very, very easy. For me, I don't have it set up. But once again, if it's important for you, you can easily do that over here. Right, from here, we can go to the top part of all the tabs, portfolio. We kind of touched on before. You see all the various holdings over here. So it makes it very easy. I have here my daily P&L, how much I'm down or hopefully up in a day, plus the unrealized P&L since I started buying. The rest, obviously, we touched on. From there, you can go into trade. So trade, you have a couple of different options. Most of it, honestly, probably won't be too relevant for you. Two things I think are very important. One is orders and trades. So you want to go in here and see all your recent trades. You will find them over here, which is good. You want to make sure your trade notifications are turned on. So you see that over here. And well, since recently I didn't buy anything, I don't see that. But if I did a trade, I would see here the trade, the details, how much it cost me, plus commission. So that's always interesting to come back and see that over here. But the second one, very important, is recurring investments. For most investors, I really recommend setting up recurring investments. So it's set it and forget it, investing on autopilot. So you don't have to think about every week or every month to log into your Interactive Brokers account. And should I buy something? How much should I buy? Just set it up once. Make sure you have enough money on your Interactive Brokers account. And I'll show you how quickly it is to deposit money. And once enough money is there, you can set up an automated recurring buy. So very easy. All you have to do is go click Create Recurring Investments, open it up over here. Then obviously it will ask you what you're going to be buying. So let's just take an example of the ETF that I'm buying, which is SPY5. I buy it in London. So you see basically you have three different options. You can buy it in Germany, in Switzerland, or in LSEETF. I know it's a little bit overwhelming. I made separate videos about this. But basically it means it's the London Stock Exchange, which means I buy it in dollars. If I was to buy it in IBIS2, that's in Germany, it will be in euros. But again, I want to buy in dollars. So I'll click on that, select stock, even if it's an ETF. But yeah, just go ahead, click stock. So that will be the ETF. And then all you do is select the amount, how much you want to buy. Let's say $100. Starting date, you can change it if you wanted to. Click from when you want to have the first order. In my case, it will be the following Monday, right? So but you can change it if you want to buy every Wednesday or whatever. Then the interval, of course, you can buy daily, you can buy weekly, bi-weekly, quarterly. I usually tend to buy my stocks on a weekly basis. So go ahead with weekly. And then, of course, you can have a number of installments, specific dates, but I'm going to choose no end date because I just want to keep on investing in dollar cost averaging my way into that position. And that's pretty much all you have to do. Go ahead, click on continue over here. From here, get a quick overview of what you're going to be buying. Yes, S&P 500 ETF in London. That's the starting date, no end date, amount, $100 every week. And it's going to be bought on a weekly basis. Yep, very good. And boom, success. That's already done. And here you will see all your recurring buys in case you want to have different recurring buys. Maybe one individual share you want to buy on a weekly basis and your ETF on a monthly basis. You can easily do that. And you're going to have the same commissions that you would anyways have if you would buy it the normal way. But that way it's automated. There's no additional charge. And it's just set it and forget it. And so much easier than having to remind yourself of actually buying it, right? So if I go back into trade, into recurring investments, I would find it obviously over here. Boom, there you have it. Or if I also go back into trade, orders and trades, click on that, and then jump over here to recurring investments, I would also have an overview of all the various recurring investments that I have. Right, next up, we can click into research. And here really have a whole list of research tools available. And I mean, that could be for a whole separate video, but yeah, you can play around with this. I don't think it's needed in the beginning for you, but it really offers a lot, which is really great free of charge, because some other tools, they actually charge you for providing that information that you get here free of charge just by having an Interactive Brokers account. So I really love that. If you want to go into nitty gritty, you can certainly do that, play around, things like event calendar and so forth. So I really like that, and provides you with enough information to make educated decisions about your investments. But let's move on to transfer and pay. And from here, obviously, you have the transfer status and history. So any transactions that you made recently will show up over here. And then we come to transfer funds. So that's obviously really relevant. To get started, you have to deposit some money into Interactive Brokers account in the first place, right? So basically you have two options. You can either withdraw or deposit. Now, to start trading, you have to go ahead and deposit funds. So click on that, and here you can have different funding methods. You can see already I have set up 3 so far, but you could have a number of them that you want to go with. In the past, I mostly used Revolut to do my transfers, as well as Wise, which natively integrates with Interactive Brokers. So if you use Wise a lot, you might really enjoy that feature. Right now, since I'm in the UAE, I use WeoBank, and there I send my dollars straight into Interactive Brokers. But yeah, for the sake of this exercise, let's click on Add New Deposit Method. And obviously from here, you want to change which currency you want to deposit, right? If you have dollars, then leave it as dollars. But in case you want to deposit, for example, euros, select euros, and you will have some different options over here. And just choose the one that works best for you. You can either link your bank directly via open banking. So here you basically connect your bank account directly to Interactive Brokers, and that will be done through Plate. So if you feel comfortable with this, as I mentioned, you can also link it directly to your Wise balance. So if you have been using Wise before, that could really make sense for you to connect it. It's very easy inside the Wise app. You can easily set it up once and then transfer the funds from Wise into Interactive Brokers. But for most people, the regular bank transfer would probably be the best option. Usually it gets credited very fast into your account. Go ahead, click on Get Instructions. And here they will just ask you for the sending bank information. So the first time I thought, why do I need to know that? But yeah, it's just extra precaution, I suppose. So if, for example, you're sending from Revolut, just put Revolut over here, put your account number, give it a nickname. So as I showed you in the beginning, you saw my 3 different accounts. It will show up in that nickname. You want to save it, definitely. So in the future, it's already saved. And also say how much you're going to be depositing. Just helps to speed things up. You don't have to do it in the future, but generally, I like to do that. You can set it up. Let's say if you want to send 500 euros, just put it over here and then go ahead. It will tell it. You can also make it a recurring transaction. And that's, again, what I really recommend in case you do recurring transactions and automated buys. Set up from your bank a recurring transaction from Revolut or any bank that you use into Interactive Brokers. Let's say every month you send 500 euros, 1,000 euros, whatever is your amount. And then that way you don't have to think about sending money into Interactive Brokers. And then once you set it up already, those recurring buys will be done through the cash that you have in the account. So that's really the simplest way to automate your investments. And then you're just going to click on Get Transfer Instructions. And from here, you're going to get your bank wire instructions. So make sure you really follow exactly those numbers and make the transfer accordingly. Very important to use the correct payment reference. You're going to have your account name and account number. So make sure you add this to the transfer, because if you don't, it will just take longer, or sometimes they even send it back to you, but usually it's still going to be credited, but it will just take longer. So if you have all of that rightly set up once, you make the transfer and it will fairly quickly arrive in your Interactive Brokers account. And from there, you can start trading. Now to withdraw funds, it's pretty much the same. All you do is go ahead and click withdraw funds. So from here, it will be very easy to withdraw the funds. If you've done it before, you will have the bank that you used previously here, or you can add some new withdrawal methods. And the same principle, you just add the bank details that you want to send your money to, and it will be done. And for me, it was really done. I think next day I had my funds. So yeah, honestly, really smooth, very straightforward. Now, of course, if you want to change any of those information, you can click on saved information over here. And from here, you can basically edit or remove any of the banks that you previously had. In case you're not using any of those anymore, you can just click on the X and it will remove, so it won't bother you anymore in the future. And lastly, on that section over here, transfer positions, which is really important. So from here, in case you ever wanted to change your portfolio, your shares to another broker, you could just do that over here. But once again, I made a separate video about this, which you'll find in the playlist down below. Here you can send assets incoming, where basically you send your funds from another stockbroker into Interactive Brokers. So they walk you through how it works. You can also transfer your shares inside Interactive Brokers to another supported stockbroker. So these will be the 2 main use cases for that. So I really like how simple Interactive Brokers makes that process. Because honestly, with some other brokers, I tried doing that and it was real pain. So with this, you're definitely going to be in good hands with Interactive Brokers. Right, next up, we come to performance and reports. And honestly, I don't use that section too much. There's only 2 things I use it for. First off, portfolio analyst report. And this is a really nice overview of all the different metrics and performance inside your portfolio. So yeah, obviously you can play around with this. And the more holdings you have, the more insights you get, especially the longer you have the holdings. holdings in your portfolio. Obviously, I don't spend hours every month looking at it, but usually on an annual basis, I just go through here and see kind of what is happening with it. You can change the time period, intervals, and so forth. You can click also into the holdings directly to see some other graphs. So really a lot to offer. As I said, if you like data and analytics, you're going to get the most out of it for sure over here. There's also reports where you get specific reports, and they have a number of reports. You can even build your own report over here. You can get them delivered to your inbox. So yeah, a lot of things, which I think honestly for most beginners are not really necessary. Even for me, having used it for years, I don't need most of it. But the fact that you can have it, I think is a great benefit of Interactive Brokers. There's also a planning section for retirement and budgeting, but personally, I never use that. So the second most important thing over here is the tax documents, obviously. And really, Interactive Brokers makes it actually quite simple. So once the tax year is come to an end, which will be in the next few months for 2024, you'll be notified and you'll see here the tax report for the following year, which you just download at the click of a button and then use that report to send to your tax authority. So honestly, they make it really simple, very straightforward, and they've been around for many years, so they know what they're doing here. There's also some third-party reports, some other reports you can build yourself in case you need something more specialized. So really, in terms of reporting, you're definitely going to find whatever you're looking for. But once again, personally, I don't use any of those reports. I used to use the tax report when I paid my taxes back in Europe. And lastly, you have over here the education tab, and that's pretty self-explanatory. They have some short videos and other insights, etc. So if you want to play around with this, totally fine. Or of course, you could just keep on watching my channel as I keep you updated with all things Interactive Brokers and all other things investing related. Right, then over here we have the bell icon. So here you'll be seeing any kind of notifications coming your way. If you get a dividend paid, whatever it is, it will show up over here. And then you see the big blue trade button over here, which I don't really use nor recommend. Instead, all you want to do is go over here and look for the symbol or stock you want to buy. So let's do that. You see already here my history that I was looking for, but let's go ahead and pretend we want to be buying a stock of Tesla, right? Popular company to people who want to invest in. Once again, not investing advice, and I don't buy it myself, but if you want to do, all you do is type over here Tesla, and you see here again where it's listed. You can find it in different stock markets. So you want to be buying the one in NASDAQ in case you want. Otherwise, there's also some other stock markets, but I actually prefer buying the stock where it is listed and mostly traded. So let's go ahead with the NASDAQ. Click on stock over here once again, and then we'll bring you inside the interface where you're going to be doing your buying and selling and the research also, which is really, really powerful in that regard. So first off, you're going to have the graph obviously over here, the price, also not the price of the share or ETF that you buy, also some little flags, which can be useful, right? You know, you're going to be trading it on the stock exchange in NASDAQ in dollars, right? It's currently frozen as the market is closed, and it shows you some other insights there as well, which is, you know, quite useful. You can of course change the graph over here, the interval, 1 year interval, whatever it is, zoom in and out. So very, very user friendly. You can also change the graph look and feel, obviously. Go ahead, click on the line if you want to have bars instead. Whatever it is, you can see so many things to choose from. I personally like line. I'm not a trader. If you're trading in and out, of course you want to see maybe the candles instead. Whatever it is, you can add some indicators, some moving averages. So really, really powerful. Basically, I think it's also based on TradingView, but for most people, especially beginner, I mean, just stick with the usual chart line to see the trend line overall, and that works for me. Of course, you can make it larger if you wanted. Click on this and you have it full screen, but I usually just, once again, see the trend line, zoom out for 5-year period, for example, and see how the stock has been performing. And then at the right over here, you have some AI summaries of the latest news, so you can flick through and see what's happening, then any hot news and some upcoming events in case, for example, the company was to pay a dividend, you would see that over here as well, and your most recent transactions. So if I was to buy any of the Tesla shares over the last 90 days, I would also see the transactions over here. But I've also shown you previously, you could find the same over here under trade. If you're an options trader, you also have the ability to buy options over here, but I'm not buying any options. I'm not interested in that, but you could do all your option trading here as well. Then we have fundamental analysis. I think that's really, really powerful and offers so much more than, as I said previously, some paid plans where you pay subscription to get some insights. Here you get so much, and they keep on adding. Again, I'm not really looking at all of it constantly as I'm only buying one S&P 500 holding, but if you really wanted to get into the nitty gritty, you get so much insights, the company overview, the common shares, what they're offering, key ratios, and really, as I said, it's improving time after time, getting so much better and more graphical, right? You can see all those various graphs over here, whatever you're looking for, much more visual. It used to be only numbers. So really kudos to Interactive Brokers for improving and stepping that up. Dividends, obviously, over here. Now, Tesla doesn't pay a dividend, but if you had a dividend company, it would show also some of the dividend insights over here. The impact score, once again, for ESG-friendly investors, you know, what is their score on environmental, social, government principles. So if that's important for you, you will find that over here as well, which is great. The financials to really dive into the company numbers, and you can even click the drop down to get some more graphical insights. So honestly, as I said, really well done and much improved. Analyst ratings, if that's important for you to base your investing decisions on, then you're going to get some nice insights here as well. That's really cool from different pages, right? Also tip ranks, for example, another popular site, it will be shown over here. Tip rank sentiment, which is also interesting. You see that over here. Morningstar, another publication, you get some insights over here as well. So as I said, really a lot of content, almost too much. But if you really want to get to the bottom of it, make your educated decisions, then honestly, it can really guide you and help you a lot. Analyst forecast as well. You get some more numbers in there. Ownership, something I always like looking for, right? Who are the owners of a company? Who's investing? How is that changing over time? And also trading log, right? I like to go into insiders, for example. So people actually working inside Tesla, for example, and see what they're doing. Are they buying and selling? Quite a few people actually taking profits over here. So if all of them are taking profits, maybe it's a sign that maybe you should do as well, right? Social sentiment, of course, is another one. So you can see what people on social media are saying about it. You get a score about it. So really nice that I haven't seen many other stockbrokers offering. Short selling as well. If that's something you want to do or get an idea how many short sellers out there, you get quite a bit of insights in this as well. And many other things. As I said, it's really overwhelming. I could do a whole video about this, but yeah, for time being, just play around with it. Most of you probably won't need all of that. As I said, hardly ever look at it. But if you do look for something very specific, you could also come at the very end. It says search. For example, I want to see the profit. Click enter and you see all the various profit metrics that they're offering. For example, net profit margin. And the last one, you have a news specific section, which you can also dive into and see all the various news around your company that you're looking for, research reports, market commentary, press releases. You can see a lot. As I said, for most people, probably way too much and way too overwhelming. But the fact that you do have it free of charge is definitely a nice plus. Right, but let's come back to quote over here and buy our first share or ETF. It's basically the same principle, right? Whatever you buy, if it's a share or an ETF, all you do is go over here on buy. You can also, as you've seen before, set up recurring buys, but I've shown you another place. Actually, it's even easier because once you click recurring buy, it will basically pick up already all the information, so you don't have to later on type in the ticker symbol again because you have it over here already. So that's another way to get there, whatever is easier for you. So that's yet another way to set up recurring buys. Right, but let's go ahead, click on buy over here, and it will bring up the buying mask basically. So from here, you can have two things. You can either buy a full share, which is by default set up to one, right? So one share right now would cost me $428 to buy one share. But many of you may not want to invest that much at the same time, right? Or you want to buy different companies and only invest $200, maybe $50 into each. So the good thing is with interactive brokers, you can buy fractional share. All you would do instead of shares, you would select the currency, USD, or in your case, euros, right? Depending on which is your currency. So I would select USD. And then I would say, well, I only want to buy $50 worth of Tesla share, which would give me around 0.1167 shares, right? A fractional share. So that's the beauty of it. I don't have to commit to buying a whole share. So that's really nice. And then of course, in terms of order type, you can have all various different order types. But for most of you beginners watching, like I do myself, I do a market order, but you could obviously have a limit or a stop order. I made some videos about explaining all the various order types in detail. But for most of you, I would just leave it time and force, leave it for day, all or none, leave it no. And that's basically all you have to do. Then always click on preview first, just to see and confirm that you're buying the right thing. So go ahead, click on that, and here you would get a quick summary of what you're actually buying, right? Once again, I would be buying $50 worth of Tesla at the market order for the day. The commission would be 35 cents in terms of dollar. So really love that. If you were to buy an ETF in London, for example, as I do, it was around $1.60, so slightly more expensive, but the actual price you're getting is really probably one of the best. The spread is very tight. The markup is much lower than with some other brokers, because here the one share might cost me $428, but on another broker, they may not charge me a commission, but they might show me one share actually costs, for example, $430, right? So you would pay a markup price, which here with interactive brokers is really the lowest I've seen anywhere. So yes, while you do have a small commission, you're definitely going to get some of the lowest spreads and lowest markups that I've seen across different brokers. And if you were fine with this, all you do is go ahead, click on submit by order, and boom, your order is pending. Now, normally that order would be triggered and you would have those shares in your portfolio. However, when I'm doing this video, it's actually the weekend and the markets are closed. So that's why it's not triggered. So what I would have to do right now, you can see over here, I have a red dot on trade. So if I go open up my orders and trades, you would see that trade over here. As you can see, what I'm buying, it's pre-submitted. So obviously, as soon as the markets will open on the weekday, so that order will be placed, they would take the cash to invest it, and then would go into my portfolio, and I would have Tesla listed over here basically. So that's the whole experience. But in my case, I actually don't want to buy Tesla. I prefer buying S&P 500. So all I do is go back into the trades, click on cancel, and boom, that order would be canceled. Right, and the same principle applies to selling your share. So let's go into my one holding that I have over here, SPY5. And if I wanted to sell all of it, all I would do is come over here to my positions, click on the three dots where it says over here, and then it says close. Basically, that would close my entire position and sell all of it, which of course I don't want to be doing. So instead, you could take some of the profits, right? So what you would do is go over here and sell, and then you would just basically say how much you want to be selling. Now, funnily enough, somehow I cannot choose here between USD and shares. So I would have to sell full shares, so either one share or 2 shares or 3 shares. You can see how the dollar amounts change. So I'm not sure why I cannot sell fractional shares, but okay, anyways, I'm not planning to sell, but be it as it may, the principle is the same. You select how much you want to be selling. If it's partial or close, once again, as I said, that will basically close your entire holding, and then go ahead, click on preview and confirm if you want to go ahead. So that's as simple as it is. Immediately there, once it's sold, you're going to have it in your cash account a couple of minutes later, and from there you could go ahead, withdraw it to your bank if you wanted to. Right, a couple of more things for you to know. At the bottom right, you have over here this iBot. You can ask it any question. It can help you with a lot of things. So if you're looking for something specific, just click on Ask iBot and it would help you, especially in the beginning. It might be useful. I personally don't use it much, but you could give it a go if you wanted to. In case you need some help, you can also click on Get Help over here. And honestly, really quite nice. They're quite efficient and quite fast in the way they reply compared to some others that make it very simple to reach out, but you never get a reply. So here you have various different ways of how you can reach out. You can open a web ticket, phone support, chat room. I usually do the chat room, but yeah, you have many different ways of how to reach out to support. So I'm sure you're going to find whatever you're looking for. In case you do get any message from the support later on, you would find it over here in Secure Messaging Center. Click on the envelope over here. It will take you there. And lastly, but very important, are the settings. Click on the little icon over here to bring up all the settings. And obviously from here you could change a couple of things, change the language, accessibility, light mode, dark mode, whatever you wish. Logout activity, I change it to 60 minutes. You can change it to whatever you want. You can also have a wide layout in case you have a wide layout monitor very easily. And of course you can log out from here, but we want to go into the settings. So click on settings over here. And once again, this can be a little bit intimidating at first when you look at it, because you're going to have so many settings to change. But honestly, don't worry. Don't get overwhelmed. There's really only 3 things you want to be looking at. Number 1 is account configuration. So make sure this is set up as that. You can go through each of them, but most important that the account type is cash, unless you want to do leverage trading with margin and so forth. But I recommend only cash. That's basically using the money that you have, right? You don't borrow money from interactive brokers to trade. That's very risky. You can only invest the money that you have in your account. If you have no money, you can't invest. So leave it at cash. I think that's really good. And then IKBR pricing plan, you can click onto this. And here by default, I believe it's on fixed, but I would change it to tiered. But if you want to find out more whether it should go with fixed or tiered, there's a great website called Match My Broker. I'll link it down in the description below, where it goes through and explains you what is the difference. And you can see from what amount, which one would be better. So it obviously depends on how much you intend to invest. Then we come to the trading section over here. You could change, for example, dividend election. And here you could choose to receive the dividend in cash, because I actually have a distributing ETF, meaning the dividends that are paid to me from the S&P 500 are paid out to me on a quarterly basis. And I like to receive the cash. It's just, feels good to be paid by my investments. Or you could choose to automatically reinvest, and interactive brokers would basically automatically, as soon as you get a dividend, reinvest. So it's up to you. I like to receive the cash, but it's really great to see that interactive brokers gives you the option to choose. And obviously, as soon as you do get a dividend, you will be notified over here, and then it will be shown over here under dividends. But as soon as it's settled, basically you can use that cash to reinvest. So it's really up to you. I just like to see the dividends over here, as they grow over time. The number gets bigger, and then you can choose whether you withdraw it and treat yourself or your wife to something nice, or you automatically reinvest, which probably long-term might be the smarter thing to do. And then one very important thing for you to click on is trading permissions, because a lot of you asked me in the past, I can't buy a certain stock because it's not listed, I cannot find it. And that's usually to do with trading permissions. So you see here all the various assets that you can possibly trade, but most of you watching, especially beginners, usually want to buy stocks or ETFs. So click on stocks over here, click on edit, and here you want to go ahead and select all the stock markets that you want to be trading at. Now, obviously, I don't intend to trade at all of them, so technically I could unselect a lot of them, but in your case, maybe some of the stock markets that you want to be trading at are not ticked. So if they're not ticked, they won't show up in your search. So make sure wherever you want to buy, if you want to buy in Netherlands or Germany, that it's selected, right? If I untick Germany, basically I wouldn't be able to buy any stocks or ETFs listed in Germany. So that's really important. And also very important, go ahead at all global, tick that and click global trade and fractions. Basically, you would not be able to buy fractional shares as I've shown you before, which I think is a big benefit, right? Because you don't want to always buy a full share of a particular stock or ETF. So once that's selected, as per your liking, just go ahead, click on continue, and that will be your new trading permission. Usually it's updated instantly, but sometimes it can take until next day, but then you'll be able to trade accordingly. And the last thing you want to look at is of course your base currency. Now, obviously that should be in the currency that you mostly transact in, that you earn in. So you just see the numbers in that currency. There's no point of sending you euros, but then having it shown to you in dollars, because then in addition to the price fluctuation of your investments, you would also have the currency fluctuations on top of that, which kind of would make things more complicated. So you could go ahead, click on base currency over here, and from here you can just go ahead and select from a number of them. And once you select a different one, that usually reflects the following day. So if you were to change it to euros, for example, then it would update by the next day. Well guys, there you have it. I think it was really a comprehensive overview of the platform. Once again, I know it can be a little bit overwhelming, but once you get the hang of it, it's really not rocket science. Most of the things I've shown you, I use hardly any of them. I think the easiest is once you found what you want to invest in, set up a recurring buy as I've shown you in the video, just put it on autopilot, set and forget it, then don't even bother having the app on your phone, because why to have it, right? The more you check it, the more you get nervous, especially at the beginning. The stock goes down, you panic, you stop investing, and that's exactly the danger. I'm a big fan of investing for the long term, benefit from compounding growth over time. So I'm really happy with Interactive Brokers. As I said, it's probably the broker I feel safest and most confident about my money for the long term. The fact that it can grow with me and move around, because I don't know where I'm going to be living in 20 years in the future. If I move to another country, well, I know Interactive Brokers can easily follow me there. And in the meantime, I can use it to do my weekly, monthly stock buys with it, grow my portfolio safely, securely over time, knowing that I pay a small commission, but get some of the best prices out there without crazy spreads or price markups that sadly many other brokers do have. If you still have any questions about any of it, let me know in the comments down below. Happy to help you out where I can. Next up, check out this video over here. As always, thanks a lot for watching. Stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.